Oh my god, guys, what a show. That was awesome. PlayStation Experience 2016. Awesome. I mean, I've had a PS4 for over a year now, and the first time since I've owned it, I can really say I'm proud to own a PlayStation 4. And just because of the lineup coming up, I haven't been too happy with the PS4 just because of a lot of, I don't know, like there's been too many ports, there's not enough games that interest me. But PlayStation Experience pretty much showed me, and I guess a little bit of E3 as well, but we're talking about PlayStation Experience here. It showed me that Sony is committed to all gamers, and that's amazing. Let's talk about the stuff that I'm not gonna talk about the stuff I didn't care for, because I mean there were some of that, but for the most part this was an amazing conference, and I'm gonna talk about the stuff that stood out to me, stuff that I really liked, and yeah. So like the first thing first is that it opened up with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This is the story DLC they talked about before Uncharted 4 came out, and I don't think a lot of people saw it coming as to what it was going to be. I kept saying it was going to be about a certain character you meet at the end of Uncharted 4. Not giving out any spoilers, but that's what I thought it would be. And it's not. It instead is focused on Chloe, who wasn't even in Uncharted 4, and I love that because the fact of the matter is it's not trying to ride off of Uncharted 4's success, so to speak. It's riding off the legacy of the series in general, and she was a big character for Uncharted 2 and 3. One of my personal favorites, too. I personally have always liked Chloe more than Elena, so the fact that I actually get to play as her, that's amazing. That is amazing, and it's really interesting to see how well this does, because if it does well, they could easily move the series forward without Nathan Drake. You know, they finished the story. They could easily do this with Chloe or with other characters, and I cannot wait. That was what stood out the most to me. That was what they opened with, which I was very shocked they opened with it, and yeah. The big thing about this conference I liked is it didn't talk about specs. It didn't talk about HDR and the colors on your TV and all this other stuff. It didn't talk about sales, saying PS4 sold this over the Black Friday weekend, or so. It didn't talk about any of that. It just gave us games. And nowadays, a lot of people seem to forget that these are gaming devices. They're made to play games. They're not made to go on the internet and say, "Oh, look at the CPU chip that's in my PS4. Oh, look at how well the colors are." That's not what gaming is. Gaming is about playing games, having fun with games, experiencing good gameplay. And I think it's taken a while, but I think Sony is finally starting to realize that. My thing with the PS4 is a lot of Sony systems I've come to realize that they take a while to really get going, and I think the PS4 is finally it's going. It's finally going, which is amazing. The PS3 took a couple of years for me before it started getting the games and getting the good stuff that I wanted. Same thing with PS2 before it. PS4 is no different. I believe now is the time where PS4 has hit its stride, and it's just going to keep going and going. It's going to be amazing. So that's just the fact of the matter is they appealed to all types of gamers. You know, that's one thing I really liked about this conference is it was just nothing but games, and it was all types of gamers. It wasn't, even though it focused on the West, it wasn't just about Western games. That's what I liked. It was about all sorts of games. You had Sony's first-party exclusives. You had a lot of third-party stuff. Like, they still showed off, like, the Call of Duty tournament stuff, whatever. But you had a lot of Japanese games. Japanese games actually got quite a bit of the spotlight. The Yakuza games, Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 6, coming to PS4 in the West next year. Ys Origins, next year in the West. That's awesome. I'm willing to try that out. I've never played an Ys game before, but it's a series that I've always actually looked at because as an RPG fan, I've always wanted to play it. So maybe that'll be the first one I play. Who knows? Let's see what else. They talked about like stuff like Danganronpa. There was a couple other things. Oh, Ni no Kuni 2. That's the game I'm thinking of. Ni no Kuni 2 by Level 5. Which actually looks really good. I never did get around to playing the first one, but I'm a big Level 5 fan. I love a lot of the releases. Yokai Watch, LBX, Dragon Quest 9. The list goes on and on. Level 5 is amazing. So this game is probably going to be amazing too. Another thing I liked is they didn't forget games that are coming out pretty soon. They still showed us, The Last Guardian, which comes out next week. They showed us a new trailer for that and then moved on. Horizon Zero Dawn, in February. Again, new trailer, and then they moved on, which is perfect. The events like these are made for showing off new games and big bombshell announcements. But at the same time, you want to give advertisement to your games that are more upcoming, which these two are. But because we've known about them for years now, you don't need to focus on them. That's the problem with a lot of other things nowadays. Even like Nintendo does it a lot with their Nintendo Directs, where they'll focus too much on something that's coming out in just a week, where all we need is a trailer to say, hey, this is coming out next week, don't forget, buy it, it's going to be awesome. Alright, so here's our next new announcement. Like, that's what they're doing, that's what they should do, and that's what Sony did with this conference. I liked it. I liked how they didn't forget Last Guardian, which needs advertising, it does, but at the same time, they didn't spend 1.5 million years talking about it. They talked about their new announcements, and I like that. That is a good balance. That is the kind of balance you need when you have an event like this. It's just what you need. The Crash Bandicoot remasters. Okay, first off, let's take that term remaster and throw it out the window. It's not a remaster, it's a remake. It's a ground up. It's from the ground up remake. That's what it is. You looked at the footage. We saw the footage. It looks amazing. It looks like it's running off a different engine too. Like the graphics, the character models, the environments, they all look so good. It's just it's amazing because they had the trailer showed side by side what the PS1 did, and now the new one. It's just there's no contest. The new one, it's like a brand new game. I mean, they're all like it's brand new games pretty much. Like this trilogy, and I'm getting it day one. I cannot wait. The Wipeout collection. I was so excited to see that. Wipeout HD, Wipeout Fury, and Wipeout 2048 all coming in one collection. The Omega collection, I think they called it, summer 2017. Awesome. Parappa the Rappa, another game from the PS1 era that they're not forgetting about, and they're bringing it back with a 20th anniversary one again, just like Crash. It's not. I mean, they call it a remaster, but it looks like a remake. There is a demo for that out on the PS4 already. I'm downloading it currently on my PS4. And I actually got a couple things downloading, and I'm going to hopefully get some gameplay of that for you guys in a few days. But again, that's awesome. This is how you do remakes and ports and remasters and stuff. That's one of the big issues I have with the PS4 over the past couple of years is, and not just PS4, but in I guess gaming in general over the past couple of years, it just seems like we're in the 8th generation, but we're living off of all the popularity of the 7th generation. Like every popular game from last generation has to be remade just for the sake of having it on the PS4 or Xbox One or even Wii U. They're all guilty of it. And why? It's just like, why? There's those games sold massively, like the new Assassin's Creed collection just came out. Assassin's Creed, one of the most popular franchises in modern gaming history. Everyone who wants to play it has played it on PS3 360. And you can get some of it backwards compatible with PlayStation Now or Xbox One backwards compatibility. Why did we need that collection, on PS4 and Xbox One? And especially when it didn't even do that good of a job to begin with, it made some of the characters look ugly. That's my whole point. Why did we need that? Now, the difference with Parappa, Wipeout, and Crash Bandicoot is those are more lesser known series that also are older. Crash Bandicoot, those games have not been seen since the PS1 era. Sure, they were PS1 classics to download on PS3, but they were just straight ports on to the store for like a couple dollars, and there was no exposure to them. Parappa, same thing. Wipeout has always been a more underdog franchise of Sony's, and this is a good chance to experience 3 games, especially one was on the Vita, which a lot of people didn't experience. Just because the Vita was not as popular. This is a great way. It's 3 games in one, a great collection for one of their lesser known games, and get more people exposed to it. Hopefully you can get more Wipeout sequels. This is the way you do remasters and ports. You don't just take every single popular game from last gen and make a port. You need to give exposure to some old classic games that, quite frankly, have shown their age. The first Crash Bandicoot game has showed its age. Now that we're getting the new one is bound to be better. It just is, on principle alone, unless they really glitch the hell out of it, which I really don't see happening. One thing I noticed was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The game looks amazing. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've never played a Marvel vs. Capcom game, but I'm willing to give it a go. It actually looks really fun. However, I did notice Capcom giving the finger to Mega Man fans yet again for the millionth time over the past few years, because it started off with the Capcom logo, and then Mega Man X showed up charging his blaster and posing, and it's like, oh my god, new Mega Man game, new Mega Man X game, Mega Man X9 or something, please, please, please. And Ryu appears, and then Iron Man. And it's like, oh, okay, Marvel vs. Capcom. And then it showed Captain Marvel, and it's just, again, it's a cinematic trailer, so I'm not too excited yet. They did say they're going to show gameplay of it, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Definitely willing to give it a shot. Yeah, but I mean, that's pretty much all I can think of. I mean, there was a lot more other stuff as well. There was a Lara Croft Go game, which actually looks kind of fun. There was some stuff I didn't care. Like, I didn't care. There was Destiny, Street Fighter V, Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 actually did pique my interest a little bit. It looks more like a traditional, almost like a Silent Hill, Fatal Frame sort of game. But I don't keep up with Resident Evil that much. I've never been a Resident Evil fan, so I don't know much how to think about the game other than just the vibe of it piqued my interest. But I don't know. A lot of the indies shown were looking cool too. They also showed up some lesser known or some smaller digital titles. Like one thing that looked cool was it's by the creators of Resogun. Totally forgot what it's called. Like Nex Machina or something like that. Something like that. But it just looked really cool. More like a top-down shooter where you control little character. But yeah, that looked cool. But the biggest bombshell came at the end as something a lot of people wanted, and I'm glad it's here, and that's The Last of Us 2. Now, let me just say about The Last of Us 2, I was never the biggest fan of the first game. I own it on PS3. It's a good game. It's not, I don't think it's as good as everyone made it out to be. I personally like Uncharted more. And also the fact of the matter is it was another cinematic trailer. Now I understand it's Naughty Dog, and the first one was, you know, was outstanding to a lot of people, got rave reviews. So I know a lot of people are coming off of the vibe that, oh, the first one was great, it's Naughty Dog, it's going to be good. Okay, I understand that, and I'll give it the benefit of the doubt in that aspect. You know, I'm not normally a fan of showing cinematics. You know, it's a game. I want to see gameplay. But I'll give this one the you know, benefit of the doubt, just because, you know, like I said, it's The Last of Us, and it was given rave reviews. Personally, I don't know if it's going to be a day one for me, just because, like I said, I was never as in love with the game as a lot of other people were. Again, I fell in love with Uncharted, and I do think Uncharted is a better franchise, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it exists for me to give it a shot. But yeah, that's basically it. There wasn't much else. Oh, Knack 2 was confirmed, which again, another game that looks interesting. So I guess my point is, my last thing I want us to talk about is the fact that with Sony, something I've talked about for a while is that Sony seems to forget a lot of its older franchises, which they have. A lot of games from the PS1 and PS2 era, you don't see that much anymore. And I think they're finally wising up and going the right direction. And they're doing more what Nintendo does, which is they still make new IPs. I mean, they got several coming out. I mean, biggest one being Horizon Zero Dawn. But they still give credit to their classic franchises, the franchises that have been with them since the beginning or since earlier days, you know, franchises that shaped them, like Crash Bandicoot, you know, like Parappa, God of War, you know, so on and so forth. They're really keeping things going. Even Uncharted, even though Uncharted 4 was supposed to be the last one, they look to be going in a different direction with the series, and I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the fact that we're getting new games new franchises, new IPs, but at the same time, they're not ignoring their older games. And something I've complained about Sony for a while is that they have ignored their older games, and I'm glad to see them go in this direction to where they're getting a good balance. They're getting a really good balance, and I'm excited. 2017 is going to be a fantastic year for gaming. PS4, Nintendo Switch, and 3DS. Those three systems alone they're going to kill it. They're going to kill it. 2017, gamers win. Gamers win. There is no console war. There is no, specs. There is no anything. Gamers just win. It's going to be awesome, and I'm excited. I am definitely excited. What's Sony been saying all along? Greatness awaits. Well, greatness is here, and I believe it's here to stay.